Imagine traveling to the middle of a war zone with a camera crew, then not speaking to any of the locals, and making the whole story about how scared you are. That's exactly what happens in Discovery Channel's latest show, Arabia.
Arabian nights like Arabian days.
Let's start with a promotional poster for the show, featuring former British soldier and explorer Levison Wood, dressed like a Bedouin, braving the harsh conditions of war-torn countries to do a travel show?
This is a journey into sound.
It's brutally hot.
Oh, I love me some fake Middle Eastern background music.
A journey into war. Arabia with Levison Wood.
Wait, so it's a show about the Arabian Peninsula called Arabia.
You serious?
But that's not the only problem with the show, because two of the countries he visits are Iraq
Well, this is not what you think of when you think of Iraq.
and Yemen.
After the Arab Spring, Yemen descended into chaos.
Yes, Yemen, where a civil war has been ongoing for over 4 years, leaving the worst humanitarian disaster on the face of the planet, an outbreak of famine and cholera, and thousands of civilians dead. Levison Wood is taking his quirky travel show there. And wait, it gets better. Or worse. Early this month, they released a promo for the show, showing our hero, Levison Wood, planning a daring illegal border crossing into Yemen.
So, looks like the only option is an unofficial border crossing into Yemen.
Okay, what's with the paranormal activity sequence?
My producer Dave and I are exhausting all options to make it in.
Is that a map of Yemen? You don't have Google Maps on your phone?
I'm given the number of a Somali contact who I'm told might be able to help us on the condition.
Wood traveled to Yemen in 2017 and says he had to pay a human trafficker to smuggle him into the country. But was that even necessary? Turns out it wasn't, because one of our journalists was there.
So in 2017, I went to Yemen. We went to a travel agent and we bought tickets. So we flew in via Sudan and got into Aden.
At no point did you need to meet an anonymous Somali person?
No Somalis were involved in my trip, personally. It was easy for me because I was a Yemeni passport holder, but a lot of people have been able to get in. They went and got visas, did it the proper way, and if they didn't get a visa, many of them decided not to go.
You know, Iraq was dangerous, but this, at least we kind of knew who the good guys and the bad guys were here. We just don't.
And if you don't have any connections to the country, if you don't know who the good guys and the bad guys are, then why go? What are you going to add to the story, and what are you going to add to people's understanding?
Turns out, as soon as Wood makes it into Yemen, the authorities find out, and since he's there illegally, he has to immediately flee the country through Oman.
So we're on the move. We've had to change vehicles now into a different one to move to a different location. We're told that the hotel has been compromised and the Yemeni intelligence services know exactly where I am.
Throughout the entire segment of the show, Wood fails to interview a single Yemeni about the war, their lives, or even about Yemen itself, with the whole thing framed around his own journey getting in and out of the country. So, what was all that for exactly?
What did we learn?
Levison Wood, Sr., looking super colonial with his father, Levison Sr., got famous for walking the entire length of the Nile on the Channel 4 show, Walking the Nile. Not too creative with their names, are they? The show was a raging success, propelling Levison Jr. into a British household name and turning him from a guy that likes to walk a lot into a sex symbol.
Is one of those challenges having lots of women following you?
It is quite can be overwhelming at times.
But flattering.
Very flattering, very flattering.
This new show, Arabia, was released after his book of the same name, in which he muses on the region's predicaments, describing it as so bizarre, terrifying, and alluring all at the same time. Wood has received quite a lot of criticism online for the show and its promo, and has chosen to respond with grace and introspection. I'm just kidding. He was completely indignant and righteous, responding to one person saying, "Going somewhere I don't belong? You're an example of someone who won't and can't learn from anyone else. Sort out your ego before criticizing anyone else."
Are you serious right now?
But is this kind of awkward coverage of the Middle East really new? Not exactly. It's been this way for centuries, harking back to the Orientalists sent by the British Empire to explore the exotic lands of the quote-unquote East, and report back on their mysterious adventures, entrancing their audience with tales of barbarism and seduction. Think of Indiana Jones, Lawrence of Arabia, the mummy.
Any last requests, pig?
The first thing that came to mind was Edward Said saying that the East is a career. And so for a very long time, that was the function of an Orientalist, to travel to the dark and mysterious places, bring back stories and make evidence, and inevitably sell it as a wild adventure of discovery and threat. Part of me rolled my eyes a little bit because of the kind of doom that was in the background, the need to be secret, the need to whisper, the need to speak into the camera about the potential threat, where it centered the journalist here rather than the story of those he's supposedly covering. And in many ways, a long tradition of Orientalism.
And speaking of Edward Said, here's what our friend Levison Wood had to say when someone told him he should read his work. I read modern history with a focus on Middle Eastern affairs at university. Edward Said makes for a very dull read. Turns out the only place Levison Wood won't explore is the library. But jokes aside, the situation in Yemen is deteriorating with each passing day and needs serious international coverage because at the heart of it are real people's lives.
This guy's talking about, raising awareness and things like that. But what tangible benefit have you given to Yemeni people from your reporting? I don't really see that, and I think I've just had enough, and I think a lot of other Yemenis have had enough.
I reached out to Levison Wood while putting this video together to give him a chance to defend his show. But he never got back to me. So what did we learn then? If you're going to make a name for yourself traversing through war zones and covering an area of the world you're not from, one that you don't represent or speak for, should you really be putting yourself in the center of it?